Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. In this video, I'll be showing you how to turn a normal glass enclosure into a beautiful, enriching environment for your reptile and a piece of art you'll love to show to anyone in your home. First step here, I'm just dry fitting, using some hot glue to temporarily hold stuff into place. Get a feel for what's going on and determine if that's going to be its permanent location. Got 2 pieces of cork rounds here. I used a piece of driftwood to prop it up as I glued it. And I got some spray foam you can get from anywhere. And spray it on. A lot of people will silicone or other things on the glass to help hold, which wouldn't hurt, but I've never had any problems doing it this way. I'll put a little plant pot in there so we can have some plants up high. This is the side done. I lost some footage there. You see I put cocoa fiber directly onto the wet foam on that side, which sometimes worked. This time it didn't turn out, but don't worry, I'll show you how to fix that and do it better. Here, I'm just foaming in that left side. These zoom head tanks are a little different to work on, so I had to cut the hose for the spray foam to get to fit in there right, get the right angle. That's one thing about building custom tanks is you just gotta be creative and just go with it. Getting stuck on one thing too long will drive you crazy. And if you just keep going, it will turn out in the long run. Right here I got a little piece of driftwood I'm gonna put on here, and a couple branches for climbing. I'll stick them into the dry foam and put some fresh foam on it to hold it into place. After we get this into place, we can get creative again. You'll see I will be getting some string to tie the branch and hold it where I want it, because it just would not cooperate. I'll just try close the door, make sure you got clearance. Made that mistake many times and had to redo things before. Here you'll see me putting together a custom tip for silicone. You can find them on Amazon, eBay. One important thing is I found use silicone 1 when doing this part. It cures faster, less smell, and just overall works better from my experience. Let's put the silicone on and start rubbing it in. Sometimes I use gloves if I have them. Makes life a lot easier. That stuff's not always easy to get off the hands, especially after you put the cocoa fiber on. Another helpful bit is use something a little coarser than cocoa fiber. cocoa chips, reptibark. You could use cypress mulch. Make sure it's all very dry when you're putting it on. Otherwise the silicone won't cure properly. Carving right here on the back wall. I put the cocoa fiber directly on the wet spray foam. Didn't work as good as it does sometimes, but on the spray foam, if you don't cut off the shiny bits, you might run into problems having the cocoa fiber and the silicone stick. So carving helps out a lot more surface area and help you get the shape you desire. Right here I'm covering up some spray foam at the medium point at the 2 cork bark branches. Most wouldn't notice, but it bothered me. Little details matter sometimes. Not always, but here it did. Just carved a little piece of cork bark off a smaller branch and just glued it on. Make the transition seamless. Maybe I'll slip in a finishing up the rest of the background in this portion. Same process as before. And this spot was a little floppy. I made a little area for a food bowl where the branch connects to the other side. I had to reinforce it with some copper wire, some bonsai wire. Just stuck it in, made it round, put about 5 to 6 pieces in, made it a lot stronger. It last. Something different I did this time I haven't had to do before. That was interesting. Figured I'd point that out. Here I'll be adding a drainage layer. I use clay balls. Some people call it Leica Hydro balls from certain brands. And I use landscape fabric to separate drainage layer from the substrate. The substrate is a mix of cocoa fiber, sphagnum moss, earthworm castings, large cocoa chips, reptibark. Earthworm casting is a good, natural, safe way of getting nutrients into your plants without causing any issues with your animals. And after things get going, you add your bugs and things start living. Whole ecosystem gets moving around and everything is kind of self-sufficient. After putting the substrate in, I'll start planting. I got oak leaf creeping fig there on your right hand side. In the back corner I'm putting a small parlor palm. I'll be taking a lot of things in and out until I get it the way I want. This is probably one of the hardest parts, for me at least, is planting the enclosure. Getting the right mix of colors and textures. It's one good plus of having lots and lots of plants is being able to choose. Right here is a Syngonium spatiphyllum pink illusion. Just took a chunk off a big mother plant. You know, look good in the back. Bigger, taller plants in the back and smaller in the front. You see me keep bringing out that silver pothos. Really wanted to use that in here. Actually never did in the final. But I really like the dark green with the silver splotches and silver veins. But just couldn't get it to work and look the way I thought was appropriate. Here's a real common plant, but definitely one of my favorites for its cost and looks. There's so many looks of it. It's a begonia rex, or painted leaf begonia is another name for it. And I forgot to mention the jewel orchid I put in the top right area. Kind of important to get some dark colors in there along with the bright greens, and ties everything together real well. Bottom plant didn't really show it well. It was a watermelon peperonia, I believe. Once it gets going, once everything establishes and grows in, it will look truly amazing. Can't really tell here. I'm kind of pinning the jewel orchid into place until it grows in and gets some good root and anchors itself in properly. Now it looks to be moss time. Everything I used in this enclosure was all found in the woods by my house. I have a certain practice of disinfecting and making sure there's no contaminants or outside pests that you don't want to invite into your enclosure. I'll have to make a video of that as well. To put the moss on, I'm using pins made out of bonsai wire, and also super glue gel. The Gorilla Glue with the green cap. I'll put a picture up. The Gorilla Glue is safe for this application and will last a very long time, at least until the moss grows onto the surface and sticks itself. A few different types of moss I put in. A regular carpet moss, a star moss, and a thread moss. Wrapping the oak leaf creeping fig around the branch here, hoping it will continue to grow and climb up the wall on the other side. Eventually it will sprawl out and cover the whole bottom, hopefully, and climb up the walls. And here using the glue to put the moss onto the cork bark. And on the walls, mostly using the pins out of the bonsai wire. A couple places able just to stuff it in the cracks, and that'll be sufficient enough for it to stay in place. Here I'm putting moss up and pinning the jewel orchid in the correct spot, the way I want it. Once it grows large, and it will root all throughout the moss and make lots of little babies. One of the last things I forgot to do earlier, step down bit on my impact driver, just making another entrance to the cork ground. So there's multiple ways in and out. Step bit didn't work too well. I used a hole saw. Just opened it up a little bit more for him. Just a little bit of touch-ups and organizing the plants, a little Get a water and everything. And let sit for a couple weeks, let everything acclimate and get used to its new home. Rinse off there for that guy. And final product. And here it is after 2 weeks. Everything grown in and looking good and healthy. Time to add the little guy to his new enclosure. Hope everyone enjoyed. Hope to see you on the next one. Until then.